Yes. So good afternoon, sir. Hello. Hello. Big sir. Hello. Hello. Big sir. Hello. Hello. हेलो, हाँ बेग सर। हॅलो, बाकीच्यांना आवाज येतोय?
यस सर यस
यस सर।
ओके.
सर मेरी आवाज आ रही क्या? हेलो सर.
हाँ आ रही है सर, पर वॉइस लो है थोड़ी।
वही कॉमन प्रॉब्लम दिख रही क्या?
बेग सर, आपकी आवाज बहुत ही कम आ रही है.
हेलो हेलो.
हाँ, हेलो सर.
अभी ठीक है?
हाँ, अभी ठीक है सर.
अभी ठीक है क्या सर? आवाज ठीक है?
हाँ, आ रही है सर आवाज, अभी बराबर.
ठीक है. अब उस दिन आवाज नहीं आ रही थी इसलिए हेडफोन दूसरे लाया, मैंने दूसरे लगाया.
ओके ओके ओके.
चलिए ठीक है सर, मैं आप ही का
हाँ.
वेट कर रहा था.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. So, dear participants, today we have with us Dr. Yamimi Beg, sir, professor in Department of Botany and head Department of Biotechnology, Yeshwant Mahavidyalaya, Nanded. So, I request, firstly, I welcome Dr. Beg, sir, on behalf of all the participants. And now I request Dr. Beg, sir, to start his session. Beg, sir.
Thank you sir. Thank you Maratha sir. Thank for me giving a chance to again interact with the researchers. Today we'll talk of again, just I will go through. Let me show you this research publication in ethics paper. Today I'll be talking, that day in my last lecture we talked of ethics with respect to science and technology. Today we'll talk of only very smaller point. Today we'll try to finish it off. That's intellectual honesty and research integrity. So that will be talk for my today. When I was just doing some work, I remembered an incident where too much of the cited papers of the Nature, they were retracted. I think I had the clip for that. You can see. This is papers on stress-induced stem cells retract. So, a researcher, I think they were from Korea, and they claim something they were induced. They have stress-induced stem cells, and it was there for something 5 months. They were under scrutiny and review and again review, and later a committee was said. That committee visited the institute, and the researcher, something I don't exactly remember the name, and she was compelled because two simultaneous papers they were submitted to Nature and almost they were accepted, but owing to some complaints within, and these papers, by the agreement of all the co-authors, she was the first author, and rest she was. And then the co-author agreed to retract the paper. This was one of the incidents I was just remembering. That I was thinking why this paper were drawn back, and this investigation team already they had paper, some published other papers which already had some problems. And the the committee was constituted, and that committee visited the institute, Ricken or something. The institute name was Ricken, and they visited the Institute of Zoology, and they found that they were not able to reproduce similar stress-induced stem cells. And subsequently, the report was given, and I think there were some consequences on the author as well. See, this was a whistleblower, means something that started within, and those researchers, they also accepted that they could not be completely agree with the first author, because she happens to be the first author. And those two papers, they were Nature paper, and what I heard at that time, these stress-induced research paper, they were also nominated for Nobel Prize also.
Sir,
Sir,
गेस्ट लेक्चर देता का पीएचडी कोर्स वर्क ऑनलाईन आहे ऑनलाईन 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 झूम वरती हा सर हॅलो हा हॅलो आवाज येतोय हॅलो हॅलो
her name, I remember, Haruko Obokata. Yes. So this was a warning to all across. See, you can even explore this paper. It is available on Nature website. If you just go through it, you'll be able to look into. So this was one incident, and there are many other incidents to discuss. That there are many activities where government meant to say the governing body as such doesn't talk about, even at our institution level, we don't talk of misconduct, but still we regard as unethical. There are some other activities. So this we regard as the deviation from the normal activities. So projecting something like, let me have some example, that publishing same paper in two different journals. I even just warn the researchers that never do that. So this is against ethical conduct of a researcher. So that raises questions about and researchers' integrity. So similarly, you cannot even, you don't submit, because what happens generally, sometime innocently this happens. I submit a paper to one journal, and maybe that journal is taking time and I am in a hurry to publish a journal. Then without the knowledge of the first journal, I submit the same paper to the second journal. This is again unethical behavior, because I should either inform the first journal that I wish it is very earlier publication, or if they are not ready to publish it, they can just return it so that it could be submitted to some other journals. So this is the way. So there are many instances, because even the system don't know what is happening over here. So even sometime it happens that I'm working in a group, researcher of group. Suppose if some of my students, they work very good, I had the result, and I file a patent without the knowledge of my student. That's not fair. That's again a misconduct. It is expected I should inform my research scholars that I am utilizing their work to publish. So this is again a sort of misconduct. Again, there are many incidents. Just sometime, and this is very, I have seen, but I have warned the concern that suppose some researcher asks to include their name in a paper, in return they will include your name in their paper. So this is again a favor in return of a favor. So this is again it is not acceptable. Even some of my researchers who works together, they ask, so sir, I wish to include the name of my colleague who is also working with. So just the first thing I asked that what is their contribution in that her or his contribution in the paper. Then they need to elaborate that what they did, whether they did the idea or experimental support or something, writing the paper or analyzing the data or revising the manuscript. There could be many instances where one could help. So this is again a sort of misconduct. Please be aware I have a very long list, but I will just try to just bring into notice. At least you will be aware of this thing. This should never be done by a good researcher with an integrity. Then see again, this is again in continuation with my last lecture, that you should not discuss the confidential data of your research from a paper which has been just for reviewing. Then using the other ideas, data that while reviewing or you are reviewing it and you should not get that idea. That is again wrong, against the ethics. How a researcher should behave, we should decide it. And again, manipulating the data and using again in different papers, same data, modifying it again, making a second paper. That is wrong. So there are many such incidences that sometimes even what type of statistical test that should be applied to particular data. That is also, these are very defined, because again, changing the test will change the results, and it will change the trends. This is not advisable. So use of it should be always, you should do the appropriate statistical methods to enhance the significance of the research. Then there are many such incidences that even see, sometimes this happens innocently. We review so many papers while writing one paper or thesis. Essentially, we should acknowledge each and every paper we review. Even you are getting one line of a paper, you should give proper credit to that paper. This is our responsibility. Otherwise, this will happen with us also. So there is no one watching, but just be true to yourself. We should say that I am taking care of myself. So in even quoting the papers, please just to give proper credits to those who have worked it. Then you can even manipulate the facts in your CV or biodata for job application, that you have done some project or something like that. That is false, because unless you have done, you should have it, then only you will be able to quote it that it is your work. Again, sometimes this happens even, this is a common practice for the researcher in West European and American universities, that a research scholar often he supports the supervisor, and for research especially guiding the undergraduate graduate students who are doing this MS or something like that. They generally take help of the research scholar who is working for the PhD. So again, it is expected that if such a scholars comes to you, need to give some different topics to different scholars. So these are some of the incidents. Again, I have a list of many more. So I will not go through all. Some are very difficult and we need to be careful regarding this. So just you can go through it. I will not take it, especially one or two. I need to just put it over there. That animal ethical committee is also there. So if you are conducting research on animal, so you need to just take the permission, and that whatever you are doing, it is under their guideline, because we have very strict guidelines for against the animals which we are using in research. And remember, when it is up to the human being research, we have to be very careful. We should report even some adverse event even human experiment. So even wasting of animals, exposing the researchers to biological risk, like some pathogen is there, we are spreading the pathogen, not taking proper care. Again, this is a misconduct, or even just sabotaging some others' work, stealing supplies, books, or data. This is very common. Unknowingly, we do that. Even sometime our postgraduate student, they just take this glasswares, then some culture, something like that. They often do that. But again, we need to ask them, this is misconduct. Or making unauthorized copies, see, photocopying is also comes under misconduct. So these are some of the incidents. There are many more. I am just skipping because it will take much time. But we need to take care of that. That what is research integrity? So it is defined as the trustworthiness of research due to soundness of its methods and the honesty and the accuracy of its presentation. So you should not wrongly present the data which you are getting. Whatever correct, wrong, that is true, untrue, significant, insignificant, that is nothing, it should matter. We should be, the researchers should be very organized, he should be very content one. So he should never just falsify, he should see, if you tell yourself that even if no one is watching you yourself, you are true to yourself, definitely I'm sure that no one will conduct any unfair means or misconduct. So this was again a world conference on research integrity in Singapore, and that a common resolution was they have defined, and this was made available to all those people, and even for researchers, it was made. So they have even, it was defined some other way also, that even Michigan State University, even there is one committee for research misconduct. So they have defined research integrity refers to thoughtful and honest adherence to the relevant ethical, disciplinary, and financial standards in promotion, design, conduct, evaluation, and sharing of research. See, this definition seems to be more precise, and mostly it covers all the aspects which I think we have earlier discussed. What are the qualities, ethical qualities of a researcher? Again, then these should be strictly followed. It should be there in conduct of a researcher. So we need to be very careful that whatever the research, that is no misconduct in our research. So what are the principles, basic principles? As we have in ethical behavior, similarly in research integrity, we have at least many, I have list, but again, generally we are bound to some fundamental principles also. A list is again honesty, reliability, use of robust research methods, impartiality, and independence, open communication, care of a participant, fairness. So we are just doing justice with the methods or whatever the process we are handling. High standard of mentorship and supervision, awareness of responsibility to society. These are some of the principles, but for ethical conduct of research, teaching, and evaluation, especially where human participants there, we have 4 fundamental principles of research integrity. Again, these are among those just which I enlisted in 9. So first is reliability. Definitely, it is about that we are responsible for the quality of the work, and quality in terms of whatever the research methodology we are using, the research design we are implementing in our work, the analysis and whatever the resources we are using, very responsibly we are using this. These all aspects that imparts and the research integrity. Second is the honesty. Honesty, even for ethics, also honesty. Earlier lecture, I told you, honesty happens to best policy. That's what we have been taught right from our childhood. So honesty, especially in developing research or undertaking research or reviewing or reporting, publishing, communicating, or anything associated with the research. It is completely transparent. Everything is very true, very fair, and it is non-biased without any inclination towards anything. So this is again one of the most important principle in research integrity. This is according to the European Code of Conduct of Research Integrity. Later in 2017, there was this committee was Publication and Ethics Committee. They have just formulated this. The third is respect. Again, this is again part of our ethics, but when we conduct research, even in research and teaching, essentially we should respect our colleagues, participants, the society, the ecosystem, the organisms, the environment, the heritage, and everything. So where we are working in, we should respect all those things, because everything is costly and everything values. And fourth principle, fundamental principle, is the accountability. Means you are accountable to for your research, right from your idea till you get published. So for maybe management, it may be for organization, it may be for training, it may be for supervisors, supervision, mentoring, and at any year. So everyone is accountable. Being a researcher, I should be accountable. My institute, being an educational institute and organization, my institute is also accountable. So the system, the governing system, they are accountable. So for every aspect, everywhere. So accountability is one of the fundamental principle of research integrity. So what are the roles, responsibility, and professional identity? Remember, developing ourselves in a very disciplined, in a disciplined manner, as a member of this being which we ourselves call researcher. Remember, researcher, they bear some special respect in our society. I don't know whether you have experienced it or not. Somewhere, if you have gone in at a new place where people don't recognize you, and if you tell you that you are a researcher, definitely you will see respect in their eyes. They think researcher, definitely they do good things for the benefits of society. So this is this what the capacity of our researchers. They should able to carry all these traits in them, so that we belong to a very special community, we need to say. So being a researcher, so I should always be committed and dedicated to my work, my research. That is, it is expected. I should be self-disciplined, self-motivated, and organized. So it is expected. A researcher should be self-motivated. Unless someone to go do the research, then only you are. You should start with yourself. So that is what we say. That gives in your own identity. Then remember, equally time management. So if you have a time-bound project, is essential. You should complete within the time, within the given span of time. And it should be goal-oriented, target-oriented, that you should have short-term targets, long-term targets. Then you should be able to achieve that. So that is also equally important. That is our responsibility then. Or writing research paper, publishing new knowledge, or some new creative works, it is also one of the traits we should carry. That makes when the distinguished researchers and responsible and ethical conduct in the academic enterprise. Because if you are in college or in research institute, so you should behave very ethically, very responsibly. So it is what expected. Then question is there that what do you mean by academic and research integrity? So the core values that underlies the academic and research integrity is whatever we do, whatever the output we bring, it is one responsible and ethical. Then it is very fair, and the dissemination of research, publication of the work, it is very carefully done. Then whatever the work, innovation or innovative, creative type of work we are doing in the institution, so that is what we regard as academic integrity. In Clemson University, US, they have a Center for Academic Integrity. So they defines that academic integrity, the research and academic both, they are the faces of the same coin. But that is a commitment even to face adversity. And again, they have said that they have four principles. They say they have 5 fundamental values: that honesty, trust, fairness, respect, and responsibility. So again, they are just part of those principles which we have did, and that is, I think, that should be sufficient enough to transform our action into our responsible behavior, and that should contribute to our research integrity. Then who should follow this? Means for whom it applies. So this, even students, faculty members, teachers, the staff, everyone. So I was just reading this Princeton University's rights, rules, and responsibilities. I found this very interesting. The ability of the university to achieve its purpose depends on the quality and integrity of the academic work that its faculty, staff, and student performs. Remember again, whatever the work we do, that see the big names you might have heard of: Stanford University, Harvard University, Massachusetts University, Oxford University, Cambridge, so on, Princeton. There are so many Ohio University. So these universities, they have very long standing, just because the researchers, they have imparted respect for their institution, because owing to their work, owing to their quality, owing to their integrity, to the research, they have just added to the name, fame of their institution. So always it counts. So then what does it involve? So it is, just as I say, I have just made you count 4, 5 qualities, principles. So it is not limited to that. So it is not only to the research work, examination, quizzes, assignments. So it is for each and everything. It may be your research paper, thesis, dissertation, all the practice you are doing, everything, even you are doing, you should be very just in all your actions. If you are sampling, you should be able to sample in a very logical way. So you should keep in, because something, if we just get biased, means we are deviating from the fact. So that we should be aware of that, and we know that no one will tell you that you are doing right or wrong. Ultimately, it is you only who will tell that this is what is going on. Then, does one of earlier a scholar asked me, does research integrity means trust? Yes. See, even whatever the institutions, the community, maybe at individual level or to your group level, your institution level or university level. Recently, I read an article, Times of India or something like that. India is, I think, 3rd or 4th highest publication, 3 lakhs, but the citations, they are very low. Again, publication number is good. Recently, earlier, sometimes I read about some falsification of some predatory journals of not good qualities. But now the awareness had been made. Even the publishers, they are aware of this. So again, we need to be very careful right from our conducting our research. Means we should think in that way that society is trusting us. People, they are trusting you that whatever you are doing, it is very correct, fair, just, and very appropriate in your own terms and other terms too. So whatever the results they are shown, reflected, they are very honestly done, very carefully done, accurately, without any bias or inclination towards anything. Means this is what the trust. Sometimes you say, if you take some good names, they will say, no, he's a very good researcher. Means the researcher, the research he do, the work which is just exhibited from the publication, the activities the researcher carries, it means that will show how the research integrity is being carried by the researcher. Then is it means that when a researcher is not carrying the integrity, does it really, the academic or research institution is at stake? As people just, will they pose question against the institutes? Yes. Unless we have a trust of the society. Society means every component. It may be students, it may be parents, it may be those employers. There are so many components. We talk of all stakeholders which are associated with the institution. They may be alumni, they may be employers, they may be your direct or indirect associates with the institutes, co-workers, the collaborators. There may be so many of the stakeholders. They definitely, if your institution is doing very good, definitely they will say, no, that institute is really good. And that institute is really bring out some very good results, and it is done very integrally. So with the perfect intellectual integrity and all that. So this is what it is expected. See, if we talk of, you may ask question that if research integrity is there and everyone should observe right from a person to the institution, every level. So remember, if we look into that, there are 3 levels of research integrity. One at the individual researcher level, second at the research culture in the institution, and third the research system as. See, even if you just I will ask one single question, that why they thought they felt the need of including this paper. This paper means research and publication ethics paper, especially to the research scholars. Why the UGC felt the need, feel the necessity of just including this paper? Because maybe these things, they are never taught to us. We need to understand these things. So at individual level, research integrity should be followed. At culture level, system level. So what you need to do when you are at individual level? So whatever your resource skills they are there, you should be very aware. You are using very unfair. You are not using any unfair. You should be fair with your techniques, designs, methodology. You should be non-biased. You should be just with the system. Everything that is what we have so far seen, that should be inculcated in your work culture as. So it should be all your research skill should be directed in that way, following all those principal guidelines. Then second, we should have a moral awareness also. No one is telling you, but you are watching yourself, you are true to yourself. That awareness is equally important. Then the character traits that I remember sometime, let us take the example of that earlier, this one which I started with. So see, just an biasness of a researcher, it has brought unfame to not only the researcher, but also to the institution where she was working. It is not a question of the institution also. It is the question posed on all those other researchers in the institute also. Whether did they do such type of work or say. So that is again become. So this becomes habits, we say generally, it's said, habits becomes characters. We need to develop all this traits in us so that this becomes our character. And these character traits are very, very, very important as well. And what we talk of research culture, see, suppose if some certain institution is just producing some good results and they are maintaining it, it means those conditions, they are maintained by all the components in that. So a culture of integrity is maintained. I have a booklet on that. You can just go through. It is on page number 3. I will share, maybe I have that. I'll share it. Just go through it, read a very short booklet. It is available. Even you can just go through it. So that is what it focuses on the culture, how it's upon the government, it is upon the funding institute, upon the institution that gives you fellowship. It may be institution that gives you funds for your research projects. So this is what we call of a culture. And if you are doing good work and it will create a good impact, and that gives in quality, then definitely we say the culture, the integrity in that is also at the research culture where a researcher is working. So again, it is at the level of researcher, and whatever the research, basically a researcher, he should not show any. See, sometimes if we report falsely, sometimes the fear or anxiety itself, it is with us. I have done something wrong, and what it will happen. Then that fear will be always there. So stress, anxiety, mental health problem, and isolation, loneliness, or we don't share many of the friends and our researchers, co-researchers. So, and that becomes part of the culture that everything should be openly discussed. And neither you should promote anyone from doing misconduct, neither you should do it. So it is expected it should start from oneself and it should spread to and that becomes culture of the institution. When whatever the quality of research you are, the outputs you are giving, definitely that should be very good. Doing just superficial research and with no one is referring your work, so that is not expected. We say in English, we say language cherry picking. So this is just only good things we are taken and other false things they are not. So people, they will understand. Remember, researchers, they are very intelligent. They will definitely think which paper need to be cited, which doesn't need to be. So again, that is part of culture, not only up to the society level, even environment, all the resources, leadership, protection, everything should be taken care of. So the environment where the culture, it should be very collaborative, inclusive, supportive. And whatever the resources they are made, I will remember there are many people around who need to get these facilities, but they are not getting. That's why probably they are missing a lot. And if you are getting it, definitely it is your responsibility to just use very justly all the resources that has been timely to focus on the research part is done. Whatever the leadership, even maybe leadership at your level, researcher level, at the supervision level, at the institution level, at management level, everywhere that it should be transparent, it should be open, and it should be protective to all safety and security will be taken care. Then this was the research culture, individual, the research culture, then research system at 3 bases: innovation basis, publication basis, assessment basis. So innovation in the sense, I was reading one document, the Hong Kong University. So they had some principles for assessing researchers. See, I was very amazed to read these things, that these were what could be the principle for assessing it. So, see whether the the researcher is carrying responsible research practices very carefully. Even small practices like, while my guide used to say that while before you leave, please, even we are taught at home, just if you are leaving the room, put on the lights, put on the fans, electric appliances. Even before leaving the lab, my guide used to tell that take care of the instruments. If they are just on, you will be just destroying some other instrument or facility. If the experiment need to be run, you should able to monitor that, and if that is need to be not, it is not in function, then you should shut it off. So you should these practices very carefully, just like simple practice like running of tap, use of distilled water or RO water, something. You need to be very careful in your practices. Then while reporting, while publishing, should just a minute. So even while reporting, we should be very true, very responsible. Again, how, and these Hong Kong people, they have this assessing how they values of reporting, then rewards and practices in open science. They just give some incentives to the people who practice good science. Then they acknowledge broad range of research activities. Then recognize essential other tasks like peer reviewing and mentoring. So if someone is doing a peer reviewing or mentoring, they are acknowledged, they are recognized. The name is displayed on the board. See, this gives and strength and confidence to the researchers. If system is supporting that, the good things, definitely a researcher is bound, and that becomes part of the culture of that institute. Then we even talk of a scientific integrity plan. That is again, that is mean to say to establish appropriate standards in an institution, right? Responsible and ethical conduct of research. So we say our responsible conduct of research, RCR. There was UGC has made in 2019, as they have made it mandatory to follow this paper's research public and ethics. Again, the basic intention is to achieve excellence in research, and we need to gain the public trust, whatever the research outcome they are. So RCR, it is very carefully taken. Basically, if we look into what is the responsible conduct of research, basically it gives an umbrella-like concept that it includes the research ethics as well as research integrity. Research ethics, basically, it's in the research behavior from the moral value, whereas research integrity, it is research behavior from the perspective of professional standards. So this includes both responsible, ethical as well as integrity. So what are the major ethical principles? We have seen that respect, minimization of harm, consent, respect, avoidance of unnecessary deception, conflict of interest, justice, social and cultural sensitivity. There are so many. Similarly, these are major ethical principles, I think, which we have already dealt in my last lecture. So what are responsible conduct? So there should be no conflict of interest or commitment. So generally, suppose if I am doing some work collaboratively and I find something not accordingly that result has come, but the other research, the collaborator wish to state in a very different way. So again, I think that is unethical, and he think that is other than my collaborator is thinks is ethical, then again there could be a conflict for interest, and we need to quote unless many a times so it is there quoted in the papers that the authors that they don't have conflict, that we need to give an declaration for conflict of interest. See, that comes under our responsible conduct. Then ethical use of human and animals. See, we should be very careful. Last time I gave you an example regarding the interview. Suppose if you are conducting an interview, even I gave you example of my research student about the patient name, their confidentiality, their privacy. See, everything it is important. It is not like that every person they will be happy to learn their name has been published. There are many people who don't like to just make the data public. They don't want to reveal their identity as such. So we need to be very careful. And so then authorship and publication. So whatever the publication we do, definitely we should do very responsibly in good journals, and reporting should be done very responsibly, very correctly. And authorship, again, I suggest better you learn it from your supervisor, who should be given preference or what, and whose share names should be included in the paper also. See, everyone who contributes the paper should be part of the paper. You should never omit any name intentionally if they are sufficiently contributed the paper. Even that authorship, your conduct, it is important. And how do you acquire the data, how you manage, how you share the data, that is also important. Peer reviewing. So mentoring and mentorship relationship. So you should be very respectful to your mentor, your supervisor, vice versa. Your supervisor should also maintain a good relation with you. Then misconduct like plagiarism, fabrication, falsification, they should be strictly maintained. They should be followed. And whistleblower ethics, I think we'll talk of this. If I had some examples, maybe very soon we might have. Then remember, a researcher is a very responsible member of the society. People they respect a lot, because even again that in this recent COVID time, it has been proved that researchers they have worked day and night to bring about the vaccine and help to many of the COVID patient and the epidemic which has occurred. So again, researchers they have gained respect in the society. This should be maintained by our actions and our beliefs too. So what are the good practices? See, practices with there are many. These are just confined to a researcher only. So practices pertaining to the storage, security, and accessibility of the data. We should be very aware of these things, and we should be very responsibly behave in maintaining, storing, or secure this, maintaining the data. And whatever the procedure, the research design, conduct, we should be very careful. Not we shouldn't neglect anything. We should be very carefully doing all this thing. We should not make haste. See, last time I told you, a researcher is never in a hurry. He should be very patient researcher. Then inattention should never be bought in. Then we should be responsible to all subjects, whether it is human or animals or even non-living, we need to say. But all living also, they need to be taken very carefully. Then publication practices, they should be followed. So these are the good practices. Openness, transparency, we should publish very accurate result, and we should able to disseminate, so just to circulate that publication so that everyone who is working get benefits. And see, you should be careful. Sometimes it happens that your work may be carrying some intellectual property. You should be very careful at that, because if a paper is published, that will be never considered for intellectual property. So before that, you need to submit patent, then publish the work. That will be fine. So even delaying for that will cause in loss of this IP. So we need to be careful. Then editorial responsibilities. Generally, even in science, they maintain, say, editorians and reviewers, they also maintain. Then what is research misconduct? If these are going, we are all saying good. And what is not good? So violation of the standard codes of scholarly conduct and ethical behavior in professional scientific research is known as research misconduct. So, or even you can say for behavior or performance that deviates from the practicing commonly accepted in research communities or performing, reviewing, or reporting research. See, this is what we say it is misconduct. We need to be very careful that we are not doing such offenses where that could be part of research misconduct. There are again, if we extend what misconduct could be, that fabrication, falsification, plagiarism in proposing, performing, or reviewing research, or even reporting research, it is always regarded as misconduct. So even we will talk, maybe we may talk of false fabrication, falsification. Then fabrication is just mending your data, making your data result recording and reporting them. You are changing the data, fabricating the data. Your data is not there, and you are making the data, fabricating. You are just producing data out of nothing. And falsification is again manipulating the research material, equipment, process, or changing, deleting something, the results which are not up to the marks you think, and only those which are up to the mark you are including that. Again, this is falsification. You are falsely giving the result. Then third, we even talk of plagiarism. See, this is very common now. University is very, you might have heard of many instances that owing to the plagiarism, many of the guideship has been cancelled. The degrees have been stripped from researchers. So this is now a very serious issue. Plagiarism. Please, I know that many of our researchers, they are very innocent. Remember, even copying line to line, word to word in the same sequence, it is plagiarism. Even if you want to copy, if you are feel that sentence is very important, that generally, say there is one statement of I think Dobzhansky. I guess Dobzhansky's sentence is that nothing in science makes a sense unless in the light of evolution. See, I find this very line interesting. And if you want to use this, I should use in double inverted commas. And I should quote Ernst Dobzhansky, 1968 or something, when published his. So we need to give proper credit to this. See, more than 2 lines copying without giving appropriate credits is plagiarism. Remember, that is very harmful. And nowadays, UGC has made compulsory that your thesis, your papers, they should be checked for plagiarism. Even journals, they have set the standards. It should be less than 10%, 15%. So then only they will accept it. Some of the common phrases, they may be similar like this. So that's why those 10 and 15%, it doesn't mean that you are permitted to copy 10 or 15%. It's not like that many of the time. Suppose it is your name. If it is had occurred in some, I will show you 1 or 2 instances some other time. Then destruction of, again, research misconduct definitely doesn't include honest errors, means those errors which we have been done unintentionally, which even you are not aware of. Even you cannot say the difference in opinion, you cannot regard as misconduct. But destruction of research record can be, it could be a misconduct. So to avoid this wrongdoing, we need to be very careful to follow the policies, laws, and regulation of the institution. Even redundant publication, repetition, publication of own published work, that is part of misconduct. And without acknowledging or justifying, surely it is a misconduct. Invalid authorship, inaccurate attribution of authorship, means the person who have not contributed sufficiently Yes, he is a part of that tier authors and who has done it. His name has been omitted. That's wrong. That is part of misconduct. Then I talked of okay. Then inadequate acknowledgement. Suppose all those who have contributed, those who have helped you, definitely acknowledgement should be. That doesn't count, but it shows you are a very responsible researcher, that you are follow the research integrity you had. Then mismanagement of conflict in accordance the institutional or journal's policy. We should have conflict of interest on research. Just I told whistleblowing misconduct. Means, see, these are the misconduct. What will whistleblowing? And suppose there are a group of some people, let me tell you just in simple words, I'm trying to define what is whistleblowing. There is a group of people and they are doing something wrong. Among this group, there is one person who doesn't want this wrong to be done. And what he does, he starts shouting. He starts, these are doing wrong. And that will attract attention of those policymaker, lawmakers. What they will do, learning to means it's sort of blowing a whistle and inviting the attention of the lawmakers towards you. So this is what the whistle blowing. So then they will correct it, is expected. So in our research, these are the whistle blowing misconduct that will show you everyone if you have fabricated the data, and true data will show that you have managed the data. You have falsified the data, or even you are copied. And now there are so many software available that will show you that you have copied these lines from. I can show you which source and what source they have copied. They will show you. So definitely we should not do again the questionable research practice, that poor data management or record keeping or note taking. They should be strictly followed, and we should be able to speak anything with evidence, not prepared evidential documents. This is what we can say, preparing duplicate data or duplicate documents. It will invite criminal action. So research misconduct, it may cause physical of injury or loss of life, and then becomes that will pose risk, then become very dangerous. So remember, you should be very careful about this. Then even I think I should talk of authorship. See, author's name should be included only of those who have some creative or significant contribution to the research. And definitely you should ask that person that shall they include the name. Many a times my students, they ask that should I. Sometimes where I really contributed, I say yes, please do include, and where I don't contribute, I say no, name should, I have not done anything. So just based on the whistle, just I am being a supervisor, I am guide, and my name should be there. No, it is not like that. It is not a rule. But so far, when you are doing research, that you are part of the system, definitely I have contribution, I am guiding you. But when you are out of system, then you are taken your PhD degree and now you are doing research on it. It is not like that you should include my name in your research. So this is, we can say, that could be a sort of misconduct. So even if I am not involved in writing, checking, or anyway, so unless I am contributing the paper, I should not give the authorship. Then how do we recognize this research academic integrity? So not only whenever these things they are not followed, then they are recognized. When they are disobeyed, like we can say writing examination, it is okay, good conduct, but copying or cheating is misconduct. Even in that way, if we are just manipulating the result, taking from others, that is misconduct. And not doing good work, again, plagiarizing written work, misconduct. Fabricating data, misconduct. That doesn't contribute to your research integrity. So even you are giving wrong information, unauthorized collaborations, then falsifying results, and misinterpreting whatever the results you got in a different way. So this contributes to that This is going against a breach of research integrity. Then, what are the causes of rise in cheating and plagiarism? See, remember, people think if they copy from good papers, their paper will be accepted. It's not like that. So please see before writing the paper whether that source is available on the internet, and maybe internet could be. Sometimes people they talk that I heard XYZ is a person who published a lot of papers. What he does, he just copy paste from us. It is not like that. Not that is just you copy from internet and pasting and making paper. Means what this those people who are publishing papers, they just conduct various plagiarism tests and all that. Does they mean they are not taking care of what quality of research is being published in the journals? Of course. So academic integrity is not only to the journal, also the researcher is equally important. When every institution they have their code of conducts regarding research, and they have should proper methods of detection, and they should be aware of what consequences to be there. So if some researcher is doing false, he should be punished. He should be banned from some activities. He should be restricted from some access or something like that. So that will that is what it happens. That has led to plagiarism. Then pressure to just run in the race and rat race. That is what it is, which due to which a person commits this misconduct. Then what to do? See, remember again, the best is to follow the model values of academic integrity. Again, honesty, trust, fairness, respect, responsibility, accountability. So we essentially should be one with these principles. So then we can say that that will be part of our system, our culture. Then we should take care how to ensure that we are doing it. See, remember, record everything you do. You make a record book and record everything you do, even a smallest action you write in your. That will give means that you are doing it transparently. Say whatever the assignments they are given, should do it very proper time within the time. Don't haste it. Don't rush it. Remember, believe in yourself. You write in your own words because idea are best express your own words rather than copying from others. Then general, see, remember the value of learning. If you don't know anything, you don't get it done from. If you can learn this, please learn. So that will be people will say that you are not doing it that. So what are the processes involved in preparing applying this? So risk assessment is there. So then identifying and discussing and dealing with the ethical issues. So there are experts, several experts who will identify such cases. But be aware, no one will do it for you unless they come across. So we need to be very careful in our research integrity and misconduct. Then remember, whenever you publish with full commitment, with responsibility, with all your data. Then remember, be ethical on those issues, cultural issues, whatever it may be, partnership, participation, protection. Everything you should be aware of your ethical issue. And there are certain matters which are subject to disciplinary action. As I said, that Korean researcher, she was banned from publishing in many of the good research journals. So that could be a very harm once it is committed. So I think these are some of the characters, research integrity that need to be followed very carefully, and we should be aware of these things at a very early stage, and they should be part of our practice. So I urge all of the young researchers to observe very carefully. Please be very responsible in your behavior, in your carrying out research, in your actions, in your every action, every process of your research. So that will make you definitely a good and responsible researcher. I think that's all from my side. Thank you very much for your patience listening. stop here. If you have any doubt regarding anything, please feel free to ask. If you wish to discuss anything, definitely we will just discuss the things. If you have some questions, please. है कुछ क्वेश्चन किसी के? अरे कोई भी जवाब नहीं दे रहा।
सर रिसर्च कल्चर अगेन एक्सप्लेन कीजिए ना। रिसर्च कल्चर एक्सप्लेन करने के लिए कैसा है कि रिसर्च कल्चर कब बनता है, जब आप सब सपोज जैसे चलो साइंस कॉलेज का एग्जांपल ले लेते हैं। जैसे आप कौन से सब्जेक्ट को बिलोंग करते बताइए? मैथ्स।
मैथमेटिक्स, गुड। तो जैसे वी हैव मैथमेटिक्स रिसर्च सेंटर, फिर बॉटनी है, जूलॉजी है, फिर दूसरे और भी फिजिक्स में है, केमिस्ट्री में है, सब हर बहुत सारे रिसर्च सेंटर्स आपके पास है। अभी कैसा होता है कि हर सेंटर में कुछ ना कुछ लोग रिसर्चर्स काम कर रहे हैं, सही है, और सब रिस्पॉन्सिबली काम कर रहे हैं और ऐसा करते हैं कि सब कुछ अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं। बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि हर डिपार्टमेंट में अच्छा काम करने वाले को पेपर पब्लिश होते हैं तो सब उनका अप्रिसिएशन होता है। तो जनरली जो रिसर्च कम्युनिटी में ऐसा होता है कि लैब मीटिंग्स में पब्लिश हुआ तो सब उसको अपलॉड करते हैं, तारीफ करते हैं। और ये कैसा होता है कि आप जो एक्टिविटीज करते हैं बहुत सिंसियरली एनालिसिस करते हैं, ऐसा मत सोचिए कि कोई आपको देख नहीं रहा है, एवरीवन इज वाचिंग। तो आप क्या कैसे काम करते हैं, क्या करते हैं, आपके साथ वाले देखते हैं। तो धीरे धीरे क्या होता है कि ये मैसेज सब तरफ जाता है कि these people they are researching। वैसे ही आप भी बहुत सारे लोगों को देखते रहते हैं कि हाउ दे आर वर्किंग, तो सब एकदम ऐसा समझेंगे कि सिंसियरली बिहेव कर रहे हैं और बहुत लॉजिकली, एथिकली, रिस्पॉन्सिबली बिहेव कर रहे हैं। और दिस इज सेम फॉलोड सिर्फ मैथमेटिक्स डिपार्टमेंट नहीं, केमिस्ट्री में भी ऐसा ही होता है, बॉटनी में भी होता है, जूलॉजी में होता है, फिजिक्स में होता है, सब सब्जेक्ट। दैट ये क्या होगा कि समेशन जब इस काम करेंगे तो दैट बिकम्स पार्ट ऑफ द कल्चर ऑफ दैट योर इंस्टीट्यूशन। साइंस कॉलेज के हम क्या बोलते हैं, नहीं नहीं नहीं, people they do good work, the research they are very good, they are very sensitive toward this false thing, they don't go prey to falsification, they do good research work, they publish good research। तो ये क्या होगा, ये this becomes a culture। तो ये कल्चर किसका, कि वहां का जो रिसर्च करने वालों का जो कल्चर हो गया, दैट बिकम्स पार्ट द आइडेंटिटी ऑफ द इंस्टीट्यूशन। तो उसमें क्या होगा कि वो एक अपने आपके इंस्टीट्यूशन की पहचान बन जाती है, वही कल्चर आपके इंस्टीट्यूशन। इसमें से क्या होता है कि लोग बोलते हैं नहीं नहीं नहीं, साइंस कॉलेज से पेपर पब्लिश हुआ या रिसर्चर बाहर निकला सो डेफिनेटली गुड रिसर्चर, क्योंकि दैट ऑल दिस एथिकल एंड research integrity aspect, they are very carefully taken care. That is what we talk of culture. I think you got the answer.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any more? तो अगर कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है तो फिर मैं रुकता हूँ। मराठी सर।
हाँ, हेलो सर।
चलिए, मेरे ख्याल से I have sufficiently discussed all the things. I think
Okay,
I will
sir.
stop. Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me an opportunity. Thank you.
So I express my gratitude towards Dr. Beg sir for giving informative and very elaborative lecture. So thank you very much, sir, on behalf of all the participants and on behalf of Research Committee Science College.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
सर
Yes.
सर आई एम सॉरी, मैं कॉलेज में ही थी बट मेरे पास नेटवर्क ठीक से नहीं आ रहा था। पिछली लैब 1 है ना, वहां पर ही थी, लेकिन नेटवर्क प्रॉपर नहीं आने से बार बार मीटिंग लेफ्ट हो रही थी सर मेरी।
I will put entire today's attendance in your group. You just see and you decide what how many minutes you are attending the meeting. I have just downloaded entire report of the today's meeting.
सर मॉर्निंग में थे सर, आफ्टरनून के सेशन में चल ही नहीं रहा था नेटवर्क सर। हेलो
सवेरे के मीटिंग का पूरा रिपोर्ट मैंने डाउनलोड किया है अभी, और मैं अभी
जी।
वो ग्रुप में डाल रहा हूँ अपने, आप उस पर से डिसाइड करो। और वैसे अगर आपका अटेंडेंस नहीं होगा तो मैं आपको फॉर्म भरने नहीं दूंगा।
ओके सर।
जो भी होगा उनको मैं फॉर्म नहीं भरने दूंगा, बिकॉज
ओके
आपका
सर।
अटेंडेंस रहना चाहिए ना। नहीं तो हम इतने बड़े बड़े गेस्ट को बुला रहे हैं और आप कोई अटेंड नहीं कर रहे, ये मतलब नहीं ना इसका कुछ।
ओके सर।
Okay. So, sorry, sir, but I really thankful to Dr. Yemim Beg, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, shall I leave then?
Yes, sir. Yes, you may.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So, dear participants, we will meet at tomorrow 11 a.m. morning.
Okay, sir.
Okay.